I think that it just was hidden because people were fearful. My name is Mary Ellen Miller. I am connected with the large M Métis from the Red River settlement.
During the first half of the 19th century, a number of Canada's long-standing mixed-blood communities, such as the Red River settlement surrounding present-day Winnipeg, emerged in combined efforts, asserting themselves as a cultural nation in their own right. Membership within this Canadian-recognized First Nation today is not descriptive of a percentage of Native and European blood, but rather reflects individuals' connection to the lineage and distinct culture of specific families which were formally recognized during this chapter of history. Because of this, the Canadian government makes a distinction between Métis Nation members and the broader spectrum of intercultural families. The distinction is often delineated by capitalizing Métis to refer to Métis Nation members, and lowercasing it to describe mixed ancestry families in general.
The Métis are all through Alberta, BC, some in Vancouver, a lot in the other provinces, so they're like spread. So my speculation is it didn't matter at that point if you were little M or big M. I think when the government, took over, they did that, the Métis did that as a way of proving lineage. Because it really, it's the same culture. It's, it's just where you came from.
Mary Ellen's Canadian ancestry traces back through her fourth great-grandfather, Canadian Carriere.
So the interesting thing about how this even came about is my husband, Mike, was doing genealogy. And he put my name in and it popped up through Ancestry.com. Do you know your Métis? I'm like, huh? Who is that? So he's showing me this stuff and I'm like, I never have spoken to my family about this. And so the more I did my research, the more I found out I was related to the Carrieres.
Mary Ellen descends through André Carriere's daughter, Marie-Louise Carriere, and granddaughter Mary Elizabeth Goodwater, who both grew up in Canada. Both pulled up their roots in Canada and relocated to northern Iowa in mid-century.
Mary was the daughter of Andrew Carriere. So, and she is buried in Winneshuck, Iowa. From the research that I've gathered just recently is that her husband pushed her down here. She didn't really want to come. She wanted to stay there and be part of that because that's where her family was. The ties just go back, to 1740s when they first came. And so I can't imagine that. I can't imagine what that was like to come down, speak a foreign language, and to all of a sudden learn English. Just the perils they must have gone through. So then my father was born to my grandma. She got divorced from her husband. He lived in Marshfield. So then he came down to Prairie du Chien. We lived in Bloomington, Wisconsin first when I was a little girl. And then he moved to Prairie. I think that was a time where they had to say, we're going to really assimilate into the European culture and none of this stuff, we'll put it away. We'll keep it, which is real interesting. They didn't burn it or anything, but they kept it. So it's real interesting that they thought coming to the States would be a better life.
Mary Ellen stewards several items of historic Métis art.
The sashes, I have one on, but the red sash is pretty much the predominant one for the natives. The women's is not as wide. The men's are wider, like these are showing. The black is for the black time, the black ribbon for the time of rebellion or the resistance. And he had no idea, my father had no idea why this was even there. And the skirt is actually very much the traditional Métis skirt. So the skirts, if you looked at the ribbon skirts in most tribes, they're very colorful. and they're plain. They're not as plain as this. I thought, this is not a ribbon skirt. This is not, anything like I've seen. Well, then when I was doing the research for a presentation, I found that same skirt in a picture. If you look at the beadwork, it's flowers. So this is flower pattern. It's not the tribal thing that's 4 directions, like you would find in the Sioux and that thing. These are from 1849, and they would go around the moccasin. So I would always go down to the basement in my house. It was something else. But Dad built a shower down there, and so we didn't have a shower upstairs. He built that. He was quite crafty. So I went down there, and I'm looking up at the rafters, the wood rafters, and I see this fiddle, and I'm like, it's old. It doesn't have the strings on it. I reached up and grabbed it, took it upstairs, and I said, Dad, what is this?
Mary Ellen's father never spoke of any French, Canadian, or Métis ancestry, even though he would have personally known his Canadian great-grandmother, Mary Goodwater Spinner, during his youth.
Yes, because he was living there, but he never talked about them. Before my dad passed, he showed me a scrapbook he had, and there was a woman and a man standing next to a teepee, because Métis did teepees and sod buildings, and I said, Dad, who are those people? We don't talk about those people. We do not talk about those people. Kind of like the thing about being Native or being of that descent was second class, I think, in America. I don't think they were respected, or my ancestors were respected. I think it was that people didn't understand. One of the reasons is Métis means half-breed. So half-breed is not well received in any country. I mean, in the U.S., in any state. So when I say half-breed, people have different meanings, different connotations of that. They've read the history, or they've seen movies or something, you're less than. And I think that's why it was kept hush. Nobody knows about the Métis. I mean, it's all kind of a hidden history. But if each one of us would think about becoming a thread of this and sharing their stories, because each Métis, whether it's lower M or big M, they're going to have a different history. But I think if we would all share part of our story with each other, we would be making a living sash about our own history, and I think that would be exciting.